Well, welcome everyone. My name is Stephanie Delgado, and I'm the Education Manager here at Hay Software Systems. And as you see on the screen today, it is all about the TIPWeb-IT application and end of year processes. So things that we're going to talk about today are going to be, have we done all the things that we potentially should be doing to prepare for the beginning of the school year, right? And there's been a few things that have come around recently that I know that's even on the forefront of your minds. That emergency connectivity fund as well. We're not really going to talk about that today. Maybe at the end, if we have some time, if there's some additional questions, I'm happy to stay on even and discuss those pieces with you. But a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today, kind of cleaning up your application, preparing it, getting it ready for that beginning of year, will really have some great association to that, to try to get to that step. We're going to talk about some really great reports too. And I don't want to say too much because I'm about to shift over to the agenda for today. And just a couple of housekeeping items, everyone. I do hope that each of you does want to, either put in the chat any comments, questions that you may have. You can also unmute yourself. That's wonderful as well. But this is definitely a session for all of us. Just to note that when you do unmute yourself, please remember to go and mute yourself back to ensure that we are able to provide this recording for others after. All right, hopping right in, everyone, as it's a jam-packed hour. We're going to have a lot of things to talk about today, and I may have a mix of that kind of view of the application on the session today. I hope I do. We're going to talk about some admin pieces today, which will be the kind of first portion, and then which are going to include district settings. This is one where we kind of when we initially onboard with TIPWeb-IT, we set it up, right? But we may not circle back to that as frequently as maybe we would have thought we would, or we may not even think to do it. But what are some areas that we should probably kind of just look into every so often to ensure that it is set up the way that we would like it to be for our district? Additionally, there are some additional district settings. I want to make sure that we at least remind you of those locations. I have some great examples that I want to show you of content potentially if you are not utilizing the email area and the reports area for district settings. Additionally, everyone, this has been actually topic of discussion with many districts I've been speaking with recently, is user roles and permissions. And that documentation that I was asked about, I have some really great documentation to share with each of you today. It will be available, of course. It's actually available currently. I'm going to show you where you can access it, but it will also be in the live page for this session as well, everyone. Also, an item that I feel that we're hearing more about is, hey, archiving, you can do that? Yes, you can archive catalogs, so products, inventory, as well as individual staff and students, everyone. We will discuss that today. I think it's going to be really beneficial as you are just looking to clean up your application, get it prepared for that next year. Now, then we'll shift a little bit to the site view, and there may be a little bit of shuffling, everyone. I'll make sure to communicate where we're at during this session because there's so much that can take place with that kind of preparations. Room changes. Hey, has a room changed on a campus from maybe a 4th grade to a 3rd grade classroom? Has it changed from a classroom to a lab or vice versa? Ensuring that your room data is accurate is also really beneficial, everyone. So we'll talk more about that shortly. Staff homeroom association. Now I hear two sides of the coin. Some districts really utilize it, they love it, and some say either one, I wasn't really aware of it, or what are those benefits, staff? So overall, homeroom association gives you some great opportunities to associate a staff member with a room. This potentially can help with audits even, everybody. And then also there's some great reports that kind of come in line with that as well, but it just ensures that you have somebody that kind of has that ownership of those rooms at that campus level. And so we'll look at what that looks like today as well. Another item that's not technically, cleaning up or setting, but I wanted to at least ensure that we have the discussion. Again, I keep hearing more recent, hey, what about those items, stuff that I happen just to go into a room, I scan a tag, it says tag not found. How can I quickly get those assets into my application? Because I need to ensure that I have all devices in my application currently. So we will touch on initialization at that site view, everybody. And then there's going to be some reports. As you are aware, there's great opportunities to pull really any type of report. Some focus areas that we will have today are what assets are in that status of lost or stolen? Can I pull a report on it? You know, and then let's talk a little bit about what are some opportunities in pulling that report for us. Additionally, those assets are in the end of life status as well. Are they disposed, returned to vendor? We're going to talk about those today too. We're going to pull a report so that we can see just how many of our assets are in this status, and then what are some next steps that we can take. Budget forecasting. So that's kind of where we tiptoe into some of the pieces I had mentioned with those kind of specialized fundings but also it's in preparation for you to know what devices you currently have, but also devices that are almost at the end of their life. So there's some pieces with that we'll definitely discuss in further detail, but we're going to look at that report today too. So this is the plan, everybody. Let's hope we get through it all. It's a lot. I'm going to move fairly quick, but please stop me. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat as much as I can, everyone, to ensure that if there's any questions or comments that we address them. So I'm just letting additional people in. I'm really excited to see so many people hopping in today, everyone. All right, so just a note, I'm not going to ask if there's questions, because if you do have one, please go and put it in the chat or just unmute yourself. Today is a conversation for you. All right, everybody. So before we even hop into the application, there is a couple of documents I want to mention to you that we do have available. Again, these will be in that article for this specific session. So that TIPWeb-IT kind of end of year processes article that will be in the support center. But have you utilized this district settings checklist, everyone? On the left side of my screen, and we're going to see this live here in just a moment when we hop into the application. But it walks me through all of those main areas of the district settings, everyone. And it asks me simple questions. Do you want to display the district's logo? Yes, I do. Well, it then tells me the steps to take. Go to quick links, district settings, application settings, and then even browse to then upload your image. This is going to follow true for all of those main areas of the district settings of the application, everyone. Another area very important is that inventory management settings, asking you questions. Do you want to hide older data? These are the steps that you would take as well. I find this resource extremely helpful as I don't always get in the district settings myself. And so it just is a nice refresher for me as well. So this will be something we're going to hop into, have a little bit of discussion about, but I wanted you to know about this resource. An additional resource I would like to bring to everybody's attention is opportunities for your report and email notifications that we're going to hop into under district settings. Device collection receipt. So this is going to be all about collections. And here's some basic kind of content that you are more than welcome to copy and paste it directly and or really customize it. So at least a starting point, right? You may say, I don't even know where to start with this email or report. Where do I even begin? And so we have some great opportunities with collections as well as distributions. And you'll see I have a student example 1, maybe 2, staff as well. And so you'll get to see that, that detail in the document that will be provided, of course, in that article. One more item I want to talk about. It's actually 2 documents as well, everyone. Remember I said that I'm getting a lot of questions and or statements from districts about the user management area. I need to clean up my user management area. There's so many individuals that are either no longer with the district and or should not have access to the application. That's a starting point. Another item I'm hearing is the permission base. Individuals either may have too much permissions or not enough permissions. So being able to kind of make some decisions to ensure that individuals have just the access that they need. I look at it as if I'm a site level user and all I need access to do is to view some reports, let's just pretend, then what would it take for me to get access to that, but not the purchasing area or the catalog of the application? What is it that I need to worry about, of its entirety, so to speak? And then as those permissions heightened, ensuring that individuals have the permissions that they need to do the role that they're expected to do. So on the left side, everyone, this is actually from our manual, but I wanted to make sure that you're aware of it. And again, I will show everyone there's the other location that's already existing that you can pull this information. But more so, I think only newer districts will know about this location. So the left side is all user permissions, everybody. So a site administrator, what they can do versus what they cannot do with their just the typical, you give them that general access, as well as maybe that site user as well. Again, what can they access and review versus what they are unable to. Now, on the right side, I have another document that we call it Know Your Role. And so it's just a quick guide on the various roles. So as you see here, admin or administrator, administrative user, as well as site admin and site user, and gives a quick little synopsis or summary of what that role is. And there's even more, just so you all know, this is just a snapshot of these documents. There's more content below, of course, as well. So I really want to make sure that I get these documents over to each of you so that you can kind of assess your users, clean that up too, as you're looking to just embark on those the next school year. All right, everyone. So I'll hold the next sessions that will become about for the end of our conversation. So I'm going to actually go ahead and reduce the screen. Bear with me. And I'm going to shift over. And I just want to make sure that I have let everybody in. So bear with me, everyone. There we go. All right. So everybody, one of the first documents I want to make sure that, or locations I want to make sure to show you is this TIPWeb-IT training materials location. Here, this is typically what new customers will see. That's what I was mentioning a moment ago. I want to make sure that everyone's aware that this is a source for everybody. So I will ensure that this is also in that article, but a manual for admin view as well as site view if you haven't had that resource since you onboarded. Also, there's something called this training plan, everybody. And I appreciate it, especially if I have anybody new on this session today, because it walks through pieces of the application. So all these areas that we're kind of talking about today, district settings, user roles, or user management, rooms, initialization. So we have this opportunity to just quickly see and even do a little checkbox of those areas that are beneficial for you to review. For those that are seasoned users, it may be that there's some areas that you weren't aware really existed because you came in, you had your focus. And so maybe you're like, now I've got my feet really wet. I'd like to see what else this application may be able to support our district with. Hop into this training plan, everybody, and you'll see that checklist as well as additional learning opportunities. So the district settings checklist is here. You can find it under admin view as well as know your role. And then under site view, you have the manual and you have your site view user permission notes. So when I would click on those two items, the user role, you see here, I have quite a bit of content and pages to support me as I'm trying to figure out roles and permissions. And then also here is that user permissions, site administrator, site user content there. So I just want to make sure to address that piece for everyone. So now I'm going to go ahead and log in. Just thinking for me, I think. There we go. All right, everyone. So in the first areas that we will be focused on today is the admin view. And we're going to start with district settings. So that checklist, those emails and the reports that we just discussed. So when I am on that admin view, just a quick little reminder for those that have that view, I quickly know that I am there because I see sites. So if you're on the admin view, you see sites. There's lots of other things you see, such as admin tools, and then some pieces under management, but that's the quickest way for myself is that visual. Today, we will focus on some areas in both of these quick links, but starting with management and district settings. So when I come into district settings, everyone, there's quite a few options here for me. Just a reminder, there are some great opportunities of application, that logo that we saw on that checklist, and timeout control. I definitely see a lot of districts that kind of play around with this of what's the best option for their district. An area to also look into is that inventory management. One of the biggest pieces, everyone, especially kind of during this time frame, as you're kind of doing that transition for beginning of school year, is that student inventory data. Automatically transfer student inventory data. I want to pause here, just make sure that I at least give you that quick little synopsis of what this is. What this refers to is if your students' devices are to follow them throughout, So their kind of time with the school district. So from maybe middle school to high school, let's say, or if they transfer from one middle school to another middle school, they are supposed to keep that device. You will probably want to enable this feature, because then when the student is moved with your student information system, the SIS, it will automatically transfer those assets over to that campus. So that's if that device is kind of more so applied or associated to that student through their time frame with the school district. And maybe it's more of technology that owns those assets, not the campus. So now if devices are kind of distributed to a campus and they are to stay on that campus, they're not to shift around from campus to campus, you probably will not want this turned on, or at least not permanently. Some districts will utilize it only in certain timeframes, but this will ensure that that device does not automatically follow the student. It only may be in certain circumstances that you will allow that. So those are the two sides of the coin. If you want the device to follow the student versus no, assets are owned by certain campuses, or at least they have to be managed by those campuses. They can't just auto transfer. You will want that unchecked. And again, that checklist goes over those pieces with you. All right, everyone, there's a ton of other areas of the district settings. I'm not going to focus on audits. There is some, we have that great audit 4-part series. It's in the support center. Tag statuses. This is the opportunity for you to say, for those lost and stolen, which may come into play, but we're going to talk a little bit about some reports to pull on this. But any of those lost or stolen assets that will shift over to that status, right? Lost, stolen. Do they require a police report or somebody's approval? You can establish that these are requirements before an asset can move into that new status, lost or stolen. They don't have to both be turned on. It could be just for lost items or just for stolen. But that really ensures that those pieces are being tracked. Now, some districts say we don't actually do police reports, but we have our own report. That's okay too. When you're attaching a document, the system is just looking for a document, not an actual police report. So a lot of districts say we have our own kind of report that we'll utilize and have that uploaded. So there's quite a few other areas, everyone. Again, the checklist is going to be your best friend there. One note to make in this area is I really wanted to talk about first your user role settings. This is one where we've seen a bit of updates to the application, is user role settings for site admins as well as site users. My recommendation at minimum is you come and look at this area after today. You might be looking at it right now in your application. But do I want to restrict my site admins from doing things such as bulk room-to-room transfers? Some of the newer pieces, everybody, are going to be regarding restrict from initiating and receiving tags when issuing to staff or students. You'll have that other side of course, collecting from another site. So kind of making some decisions of if a campus is issuing and the asset is technically not on that campus, what do I want the application to do? It all goes back to, again, do campuses own those assets and you don't want them to kind of auto transfer? Or are you okay, especially after this last year and a half or so, to say, at this point, we just need to get devices distributed and we'll now actually know the true location of that asset through this distribution process and or collection. So some things to think about. That document will provide you more detail for each of these opportunities that you have to really customize that site admin and site user views in the application. And just a reminder, everybody, integration opportunities for G Suite and Jamf. This is where you have the opportunity to actually do some synchronization from your MDMs, those two, G Suite as well as Jamf, and it will be applied to the tag information window or that tag detail for each of those assets. So some great opportunities there. We have content in our support center to support you in establishing this. You can always reach out to our support team if you need any additional, just kind of where do I go? But overall, it's very easy for you at that district level to get that established. And maybe kind of those owners that you need to connect with actually in your district. So if somebody that kind of manages G Suite for this content, right, they'll know how to fill this out if that's not your role. I do hear that often as well. And of course, anytime you're in the application, you make updates, everybody, ensure that you click on that green diskette to save. All right, sorry, just ensuring individuals are able to be that panelist. I'm seeing some comments in there. That's fantastic. Yes, and you know how we feel about feature requests. So that's kind of what I'm hearing here with this comment about the inventory data and some auto transfer for staff members. So if you do believe that that's something beneficial, go ahead and put a yes in there too, as I saw someone else did. One of the key things is, actually, I should have asked this earlier in the session. I would love to know the districts that you're from. So go ahead and put that in there too for me, if you don't mind, as I'm shifting over to our next piece of our conversation today, everyone. So I did save, so I'm okay to close out. Wonderful, thank you, I see that comment. All right, everyone, the next portion I want to discuss is the emails and reports. These, again, I'm not going to go in like step-by-step detail because we have a lot to cover today, but we have some of those great resources for you that I've talked about, but I want to make sure you're aware of them. So email notifications and actually reports, they really follow the same kind of concept, everyone, which is a really nice kind of, I love how there's that consistency throughout the application. So I'll high level talk about both, but know that even the content that we have as examples for you could really be applied to the email notification aspect. So when emails get auto sent out, as well as in the reports area. So some of those pieces in establishing some reports. It auto defaults to audits, but our conversation today is all about collection. Now, of course, majority of you should already have collections done, but I do want to make sure, just to make sure, we also do have some of those summer school devices out, or we're getting those out to individuals. So we may need to collect those before beginning of school year, potentially. But when you come into the collection receipt notifications, there we go, as well as distribution, they are set up just mirroring each other, everyone. So for my distribution receipt notifications, do I want to allow sites to email receipts to staff and also email receipts to students and parents? So do know if you enable either of these, it will require content in the subject line. And of course, then you'd want potentially, of course, that content in the body as well. When I enable the student or parent, it requires both, everybody. So I can't do just students or just parents. I need to have content in both of those areas. So here I specified students. I'll need to ensure I choose student or parent. The content, everyone. So here I'll just put student. And we're in distribution, asset, issuance. There we go. So grab that just in case I want to use that. Here, I can say this, I can come back, I can add the content as I need to here. So let me see if I have my content. So I'm just going to say, I'll just grab a little snippet. So here's some of that content that I had mentioned to everyone for distribution. Again, I have also on collections and a couple of samples for each. But here, that quickly, I have some content for email notifications that will be automatically sent out to students about their distribution. So after that distribution, everyone. I can also send myself a test email. I appreciate that. This kind of comes into play throughout the district settings where I'm going to be able to see what that may look like live for those kind of those stakeholders, or so to speak, that will be receiving that content. So I could actually send myself, this is automatic and will be sent directly to whatever email I specify. Also, it lets me know details a lot of times in the district settings, everyone, when that specific email and or notification will go to an individual, who it potentially will be going to. So the application is going to do its best to try to communicate those pieces to you. So again, if I go ahead and say, great, I'm done, let me utilize my green diskette, I'm going to save, look what it tells me. Parent subject line is required. So we need to come in here and say, this is actually a subject line, so you don't probably want to put parent, issuance, but just to give you the example, you might want to say your student's device, something of those sorts. And so then you would, of course, be able to utilize the same content, or you could shift the terminology a little bit that's focused on the parent and it's their student's device or assets that has been distributed, everybody. So great opportunities to hop into this email area of the application and start to really build out the special distributions. That's coming soon, right? If you haven't already started, maybe some summer school, but then beginning of school year is coming, everyone. Creating some efficiencies and being able to send that distribution receipt to individuals. There's a lot of other opportunities I'm not going to focus on, but I want to at least talk to you about them very quickly. Is other options for email notifications, everyone. Status approvals. If that whole lost or stolen, you can specify just that before these assets can go into that status, that they need to be approved prior to. Any status changes, you can get some notifications when devices are put into status of in repair or one of those end of life statuses as well. You can create some email notifications regarding tag due dates. So if you apply a tag due date to an individual as you are distributing out, there's some really great content that we can supply for you, but letting them know your asset was expected, it has not been turned in, and maybe even some policy pieces in there as well, everybody. And there's some other pieces regarding transfers as well. So just a quick note about the email notifications. I'm going to just quickly show you the report settings, but do know they follow the same kind of process flow or template as those emails as we just saw. Some key pieces, though, when you're looking at reports, is very often, I'm going to go distribution, as you see here, how the collection looks. Distribution looks almost identical, but I've got some good content here. So automatically upload signed distribution receipts to student or staff member, and or the distribution receipt to the tag. And I'll tell you, I always check both, actually. If there is a document that applies to that tag as well, it just ensures that I have that piece on both sides, on the individual as well as the tag. So I personally check both of them so that that distribution receipt can be applied to that, that tag as well. Here, you can apply your district's logo, everyone, so that you can see that when you print it out and or email that content. And then the same kind of process flow for staff or students here on text that you can apply, everyone. So great opportunities to start to customize your email notifications, enable them, and the same with report settings as well, everybody. All right, so I'm actually going to keep on the admin view of the application. There's something else, and some other pieces that we're going to talk about here shortly are going to kind of relate, but I want to kind of just stick with this view, and we'll shift over to the site view here shortly. And then at the end, we'll have some kind of a mix with reports, is archiving. And I'd love to get a little note in chat from individuals who has archived before. Yes, no. Also, were you unaware of archiving? It's there, but it's one of those things that you don't need when you initially onboard with the application, right? So I'd love to get a little bit of feedback there from everyone, if you don't mind. Great, thank you for the comments, everyone. I appreciate it. Just about, pieces that you value about the application, or maybe even some requests such as information on the due date piece as well. Thank you for being active. I really appreciate that. I'm going to circle back to the chat even more at the end. I want to make sure I can cover the topics today, but keep all that content coming. I really appreciate it. All right, everybody. So the next item is archive. You do need to be on the admin view of the application. And it's under Admin Tools, Archive here. The archive window does open, everybody. Now, when you come in, you see that there's this required field, right? So let me go ahead and show you what that specifies. This has been several years, but this expanded from just kind of inventory items to products. So your catalog, staff, students, and it has some really great opportunities for you, everyone. I'm going to hop into each one just kind of quickly so we can talk through them. So the first one is catalog. Now, what I can do is actually specify which item or product I want to inactivate. Now, a note here, only products with an inventory count of 0 that are not on a purchase order will be set to inactive. That is one of the things I appreciate about this application, everybody, is that I'm not able to remove, hide, really, and can't really delete much, any of the content that is currently being utilized. I really appreciate that. I have a lot going on and I may accidentally do something. So the application is going to try to do its best to help ensure that that does not occur. So you get to make some choices, all or single product. I'm going to say single. And I actually have a product. Let me grab it. Now I can utilize my binoculars to search everyone. Let's see if I can just grab, if it will pull up. I copied and pasted. Oh, well, there, I learned a lesson myself there. I went ahead and said, okay, actually, there we go. So I did my enter key. Maybe I should utilize the actual application here. So I said single product. I'm going to utilize my binoculars so we can see that full process, everyone. There we go. No. I'll just do one of my haze. I'm not doing well. That's probably because it's being utilized. Okay, we'll just grab any one of these just to show you real quickly here. Grab a monitor. There we go. So now it locks in that product number as well as that name, ensuring I'm grabbing the correct content. And then if I were to click go, and this is the kind of process for each of those options that I have. Now we get archive that specific item. And as you saw, everyone, my fail safe a little bit is if I realize, oops, let me double check, maybe did I do the correct thing? I can X out and it will allow me to come back. Actually, no, I apologize. It did. That's why it did archive that item for me. But I can come in and continue to inactivate as many single items as I would like. And I could even do a full cleanup of my catalog as well if I wanted to do all. So that is catalog, everyone. I can also do it for my inventory. So those tags that maybe are in a certain status, that end of life status more so, right? As you see on your screen, auction, disposed, maybe those that have been lost for a certain period of time, as well as used for parts, surplus, and so forth. So I can choose a specific status if I would like. So I'm going to grab some of my end of life, not my lost or stolen, because we're going to look at that here in just a little bit. Make sure I didn't grab them lost and stolen. We're good. Okay. And then prior to date. So I could say a year back. Maybe I want to keep those that are in these statuses for the current year, so to speak, or the current school year. And so I can make a choice on the time frame that I would like to choose everyone. And then which campuses. Maybe there's certain campuses you've been kind of working through cleaning up. You only want to choose certain ones. Otherwise, you could say all campuses. Any notes, anytime you can apply notes to the application, it's extremely helpful, everybody. But I'll go ahead and click on go. So this is something else I want to show you about the archive area of the application is majority of those options, so catalog, inventory, and then staff student, you're going to get this window next. So just a note with catalog, it kind of does it a little more quickly for you, but there's that fail safe. Of course, if it's applied to a current purchase order, open purchase order is not going to allow you to inactivate. But here it tells me you have 197 selected tags to archive, and it wants me to confirm. And so the number was 197. You want to make sure you keep track of that. And so you'll apply 197, and then you'll click on confirm. But if you want just one more double check, everybody, you can actually pull the archive report. Let me grab it. There we go. There's my report, and it might open up on another screen, so bear with me, everyone, of course. Luxuries of those more than one screen or multiple screens, right? So here, everybody, there's quite a bit of content. It's going to be, of course, tag, serial, and then all that detail about that product as we see here, and then any other additional content. But look at this, it's really got all those details, so you can verify location. Is it in the correct location you're expecting? And then statuses, verifying those statuses. So there's even additional fields if they are supplied in your application, custom fields and so forth. But this is a great report. You may actually want to download it every time before you archive and save it locally or in a location. Also, though, there is opportunities to pull an archive report. So those that have already been archived, from the tags page. We'll see that here in just a little bit, everybody. All right, I won't go ahead and confirm any of these today, just in case we want that for a little bit later. So again, everyone, you have for staff and students, I'll go ahead and do for students just so we can see this. One thing to note, all students with no outstanding obligations or distributions will be set to inactive. And then I appreciate the note, all active students will reappear with the next update of your SIS, everyone. So do know what this does is ensure that students that, and this is very beneficial for the beginning of the next school year, by the way. It ensures that students that maybe graduated up or shifted campuses get updated in the application and or potentially, so they get shifted over. So it helps to clean up those individuals, staffs and students, because very often we hear there's a lot of individuals that should not be in the application any longer. What can I do to clean them up? This is it, everybody. This is one of the biggest pieces to come in, I believe, for preparations for beginning of school year. And when you do so for staff and students, you need to specify site and or sites. So I could say all sites. And I can also specify, is it a certain grade or all grades? And I'm not going to, just similar to the other one, I'll just show you. It lets me know, just shy of 20,000 individual students, I might be inactivated and archiving. Again, it shouldn't be too nerve-wracking. The one thing that's if you run this, do it at the end of the day, if so others are not working in there. But as long as they're in your SIS, they will come back. If they have any distributions or outstanding charges, that will not allow them to be inactivated. So just quick little note there, everyone, about the archive area of the application. I see we have some brand new people in the conversation too. That is wonderful. I'm glad that you are here today. All right, everyone. So the next item that I do want to discuss is going to shift us over to the site view of the application. So if you're following along with your application, that's great, but please, you're more than welcome just to watch my screen as well. Yes, oh my goodness, thanks. Thank you for that question, because I did want to make sure I included that. I had a question I do want to actually bring up right now because it's extremely valuable. Is it possible to unarchive after the fact? Yes, everyone. The key with this is you can unarchive on a case-by-case basis. So let me see, I actually closed out of my report. Let me go really quickly. And I'm gonna grab a tag that is archived. Sorry, everyone, bear with me really quick. This is a great question. Actually, not need that. So under the tags page, one of my favorite areas, I have a archive inventory report. So this is going to be all of those assets that are already archived. We'll see what I have in my training site. It's thinking for me. It's going to be a good report. It better be, right? No. All right, let's see. There we go. All right. So this is a list of all of my assets that are currently archived in my application. It gives me, so hey, I was good and I put some notes there, whoever did actually do this. But what I wanted to do is grab a tag, so 7126. And just a note about this report, it has similar content to what we saw earlier. See that? All of those, even custom fields at the end there. So very similar to that report we could pull proactively before actually archiving. I can now kind of post the archive, go and pull this report. So 7126, let me show you everybody. Right here, I see red. I'm a visual person. It catches stuff like that catches my eye right away. That's another thing I love. So archived on 3/3 by Debbie, end of life and bond replacement items. So you will be able to quickly see those. So maybe it's maybe it was a lost item and it found its way back. We hear of that very often. So what you're able to do then, everybody, is just make sure I show you. Click on select action in the upper right-hand corner and unarchive. I'll go through the process. Do you want it to go back to the room it was in originally? I can change it if I'd like. Collect to what status? Well, I actually want to put it into available. It's in good, state. I want to be able to utilize it. And then of course, apply any notes that will, found its way back, sitting on my desk, maybe even. And then you'll click on go. And just like that, everybody, it is brought back to my Bright Elementary in room 104. So yes, thank you for that question. I truly appreciate that. All right, everybody. So next item is at that site level. I'm keeping an eye on time. I told you we have a lot to cover today, but I want to make sure to get as much information over to you as possible. So I'll move a little quicker, but keep the questions coming. I'm trying to keep an eye on that chat so that you are able to, if there are questions, I can at least get to those today. So when I'm on a campus, and just a quick note for those of you that are new and or just because I did it too quickly, is I can view switch to other campuses from the admin view or other campuses, even as a site user if I have access to multiple campuses or sites. So I utilized my drop down, and I actually did utilize the option to kind of start typing, and it autofills for me, and I found my learning campus. Once I select everyone, it what we call view switches me over to that site specifically. So here I am at Learning Campus. And in my top navigation, I'm shifting over to the rooms page, everyone. There's several things I would like to talk to you about today. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is just ensuring that your room data is accurate. So coming in, there are reports under rooms as well. You can quickly pull a room listing, which will give you detail of what's on the screen, lots of other reports. And I'm going to tell you across the board, because I'd love to be able to just walk through them all, but there's quite a few, is come in here, test them out, see which reports makes the most sense for you. So my room 23, maybe I realize that this room has shifted to another room. So I'll utilize my green edit pencil. If it's grayed out, everyone, that most likely means you do not have permissions to conduct that action. And so if you are not a admin, you'll want to reach out to that district kind of coordinator to see about your permission set. So room number, it is still the same room number, but actually this room has changed to a third grade room. It's still a classroom, but if I did want to change that room type, I could change that room type here as well. The location for the most part should stay the same. And then I can just click on the green diskette. And just like that, my room 23 is now third grade. So the overall piece with this, everyone, is hop in here, take a look at your rooms, pull that report, ensure that any changes that have been made on that campus are updated in your rooms area of the application. Another item to talk about is that staff homeroom association. Actually, there's gonna be several pieces. For the most part, a good portion of our conversation is gonna be in this rooms area, everybody. There's a lot that can happen and take place. So another item is associating a staff member with their rooms or their homerooms that they potentially have some responsibility for in their campus. So how you can establish this piece, everybody, is going into a room. So I'll stick with my room 23. I'm going to utilize my expander on that far left side. And it opens up to inventory. So just a quick note, details is where we would just were, all that quick little detail about it. Inventory actually tells me the products as well as quantity of those products should be in that room. This is a nice quick little visual audit of what's in that room. If you're walking those rooms trying to ensure that you have the correct data, let's say, you can also quickly see what is expected in that room currently. You can find additional detail out about each of those products by utilizing that expander yet again, everyone. So it gives me detail even about the tags that should be in there. But the area I want to go to is the staff tab. Now, when you come in and you do not have staff assigned yet, it's going to look just like this, but it's so easy to add staff members. Now, you can add a staff ID here. So I think my friend, let's see, utilizing the down arrow. Okay, so here's my friend Nile. I just quickly added her because I knew her staff ID number. But if I do not, I can actually go to search. Something to note about the Staff Homeroom Association, everybody, is you can associate as many staff members to a room as are needed or necessary. And a specific individual, so my friend Nile, can be associated to as many rooms as I need her to be associated to. There's no cap on those. You'll want to make sure these get cleaned up each year as well, everyone. So here is my staff member, Alan Moore. Click on select. Before so, actually, just a quick note, it shows me all of the other homeroom associations these individuals may already have. So that's a nice little added value there. So I'll select Alan. And just like that, I've now associated Alan and Nile, everyone. Anytime I see text in blue and underlined, I could actually go to that individual's, I want to say account, struggling there for a second there, but go to the details about that individual within the application, everyone. I can easily remove an individual just as quickly as I added them. So if I realize, oops, Alan's associated to that room 30, he doesn't need to be associated to this room. Just like that, I removed him. Doesn't remove him from the application, just removes that association for this room. And then I can quickly reassign an individual. So go in there, same type of concept is, walk through the process, say, actually, Nile is supposed to be associated to room 40, not room 23. Additionally, everyone, I can reassign all the staff members. So if I had a long list of individuals here, or a couple even, I can reassign all of them. So maybe they are moving from room 23 to room 50. I can just quickly do that from here as well. And then if there are any that were inactive, I get to see those here by checking that inactive icon. So I don't have any, so uncheck that there. So this is going to be that opportunity, everyone, for staff members to have a little bit of accountability at the campus. So it may be even for text to be able to say, well, who would know where this device should be at? Because sometimes those devices get feet, they walk around, right? Oh, in third grade classroom, it's Nile. I'm going to reach out to Nile before I go out to that campus to try to find that specific tag number to either pick it up, so maybe they called it in to be in repair. Additionally, audits, everyone. There's some great opportunities with staff ran audits where they can actually help to account for assets that are in rooms. So just some things to think about for future. And then, of course, reporting opportunities, everyone, are going to be for that room. And you can pull that room inventory report, and it will actually show that staff member that's associated. So you can pull a nice long report. All right, everyone. So that was the staff room association. The next item I do want to talk about, again, kind of high level, is initialization and how it's beneficial for this current kind of time of year. Again, I'm at the side view and I'm in the rooms area of the application. This is a scenario where maybe you are walking some rooms and you go to scan an asset to, maybe just doing some spot checks on your own. Maybe you haven't ran any kind of room audit in the application and it's not a technical audit, but you just want to kind of get a gauge. Or maybe there's certain assets that you knew did not come in as a new district. And so you're like, we're going to walk those rooms and we're going to scan those Elmos. And so you're going to come in and you're going to find the room. You can utilize the filters to locate that specific room. I'm going to go ahead and say it is my workroom here. And over to the far right under actions, everyone, it's a little blue arrow pointing up is the main visual indicator. Go to select that. And the initialize room inventory window opens. Now there's quite a few opportunities here for me, everyone. One of the first things is if you have the permissions, so this goes back to that user permission conversation, you can add a new product. If you realize, oh, the product's not even in the application. We didn't even put Elmos in yet. Guess what? If you have the permission sets, if you give that permission set to individuals, you can actually come and add a new product here. The other location, of course, would be in the catalog of the application. Product number, if you know it with majority error fields, of course, you could add it. But if I'm uncertain, I can utilize binoculars. And I'm going to go ahead and say that this is one of those haze of laptops that I mentioned. And choose the correct one. So select. And then you just follow this through everywhere. So funding source, required field. So I'll probably say district. This may be those new funds that we were talking about a little bit earlier. The status, only options initially bringing assets into the application, for the most part, are available and in use. I'm going to say it's available in that room. Image date, not everyone will see. This is a custom field that was applied to the product type of laptop for the Haze Infinity. So I'm going to go ahead and apply just a date here. And just a note, everyone, there are a couple of options to lock in data in a majority of the areas of the application. So a lock here locks in this product if I have multiple that I will be adding. Also, that custom field, I have a check mark. I can apply that. So it would retain that content until I went and refreshed or removed that this check. Red field's required, so my tag number is required. Scanning is always the highly recommended method, everyone, to ensure that accuracy and is way more efficient. But I can click enter or the down arrow here to save that content. Now, not always is a serial number required. And the catalog is where we have established that serial number is required. Now, serial number is not a unique identifier as the tag is everyone. Many of you probably have heard me even say this. And the reason for that is we have found that those manufacturers do utilize the same serial number at times. And that has just been a little bit of a hiccup for our customers. So we've removed that unique need. Great. And I did just see a question, I apologize, about the staff member piece. I will circle back to that in just a moment. All right, just like that, everyone, I just brought in a brand new device into my TIPWeb-IT application. And when I click on that tag, there's all that great detail about it. So I brought in that new SD1234 to my Learning Campus in my 100 workroom in the status of available. So I did bring it in through initialization. So one note I want to make, it's not associated to purchase order currently, right? I know that because in the funding information source, it says initial. Now I can, just a quick note, go to the edit pencil. And if I have a purchase order already established in the purchasing area, I can associate this tag to a purchase order. So just a nice little feature there, everyone, for down the road, probably. It might be another project, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to X out. So I had a great question about that staff homeroom association. So I'm going to go back to 23, everyone. And staff member. So the question was, what does reassign all staff mean? So I'm going to click on it. What this means is I need to move this assignment of, or that homeroom association of Nile from this room 23 to a different room, everyone. So all I'm doing is utilizing my binoculars, tracking down that room. So maybe she's actually associated to my first floor workroom. So I'll click on select. It's going to lock it in for me. I click on go. Now, as you see, I do not have any staff assignments any longer. But if I go up to my first floor workroom, click on staff, and just like that, it applied Nile there. So it's an efficiency piece. As beginning of the year, we know that classes, staff members, students shift. I'm sorry, staff members, teachers shift potentially. That is where that can take place, everyone. Thank you for that question. All right, everyone. So we are getting close to the end. I have just a little bit of content that I want to cover regarding reports. So I'm going to go ahead and shift to my admin view. Do you know a lot of these reports are available, or the opportunities at the site view? I'm going to click on my admin view. And I'm going to talk a little bit about opportunities for you to come in and start to now pull reports. You're doing a bunch of cleanup, right, of your application. So if you go to tags, one of the first things is you may have some assets that are in that you've shifted over to the status of lost, stolen, and you kind of want to gauge, how many assets have actually been lost or stolen, and how long have they been. So one of the first things in the admin view, you do have to specify which campus or site. I'm going to go ahead and say all of mine. And then right here in my basic filters, I have status. And I'm going to go ahead and just choose that lost and that stolen. And I'm going to click on go. And now I have a report that specifies all assets in my district, as you see here, even at different campuses, Charles Haley, Learning Campus. It even gives me additional details about that. Are they lost? Are they stolen? And then I can easily pull a tag listing report, everyone. I'm going to grab this one real quick. And just like that, the data that was in my grid, in that I filtered down to, is what is applied to this report, everyone. That is across the board with the tag listing report. Any filter set I apply and I run this report, that is what I will receive as that export. So details about that asset, as well as the product here. But here I'm able to see the location that it was expected in. That is really beneficial. It may be something that I want to either connect with the individual. So as you see here, I have some for students that were placed into one of those statuses, lost or stolen. So here's my status column. I may want to do another reach out to these individuals. Maybe I want to connect with their teachers, principals, assistant principals, and or I may just send this entire report to the principal or assistant principal at that campus to try to see what they can do to locate these specific assets. So that's one opportunity for reporting, everyone. Additionally, we've talked a lot about end-of-life statuses. Similar scenario, but instead of choosing lost, stolen, I could do all of my other kind of end-of-life statuses. So I'm just kind of clearing out all of those that are not end-of-life. There might be some that shouldn't be here, but you know, just for demo sake, so to speak, choose those, click on go. And again, I can start to really see those assets that are in status of auction. Hey, should I be moving these off my campuses? Should I be archiving these? Some districts, everyone, for both of these options, lost, stolen, as well as some of those end-of-life statuses, they'll do one of a couple of things. They may create a virtual room on a campus or a virtual room for the entire, a virtual site for the entire district for special lost, stolen assets, but maybe even some of those that were shifting over to end of life to get those out of their current data set. So as you're looking at kind of preparations for beginning of next school year, is being able to pull these reports and also kind of make some decisions. Hey, this means we may need to do some additional purchases, right? And so this is just a starting point with preparations for your budget forecasting. And one other report I'm going to show everybody today. I actually have this saved as a saved search for my new individuals. Just note, after I filtering, I can come over here to say save search as, and then I'll be able to save a specific data set or filter set more so that I have applied. When I click on it, it will apply that specific filter set. So as you see here, I have all sites checked and nothing here. That's because I've utilized my custom filters. And I've said any asset with expiration date between January 1st of 2018 and June of 2018, please apply to my report. So now I have a list of all of those assets that are expired. This is going to help with my budget forecasting as well, everyone, because it may be then that I say, okay, I have 362 assets that I need to look to replace or that are coming up to be replaced. So definitely want to, you know, that forecasting aspect, earlier is better in this preparation. Just a quick note about this report, everybody. Expiration date is actually produced by the application when the product is given a projected life and the number of years it is added, that's added to the purchase order date. So it's based off purchase order date and projected life that come into play with that expiration date, everybody. All right, everyone, we are at the hour. So I want to make sure to be respectful of your time. One thing I do want to mention is we will have this recording made available for you, but I do want to share some other things and I want to look at my chat. So if you do need to go, I completely understand. You guys are extremely busy all the time, but especially currently. I do have just one more question about the reassign. So that reassign, it reassigns all staff tied to that room, correct? So just circling back to the reassignment of a staff member. When you do reassign all in that top level, top left, it reassigns everybody. So if I had 5 staff members, they would all get reassigned to that new room. If I utilize the reassign on that actual individual's line item in the list, then it would only reassign that one individual. Same concept, you just find that room and reassign them to that other room. So you can move individuals easily as well as reassign them easily and of course add them. All right, everybody. So before we kind of start to close out, you are so welcome. For those that do need to go, 2 things really quick. Well, it's one, but 2 different scenarios. Upcoming sessions. So you are currently today in beginning of year preparations, final closeout of the year, some things that you can do in preparations for the beginning of the year. Everybody, we are going to have some live sessions for distributions throughout this kind of season is what we call it, peak season. So dates on the 21st. So this week, tomorrow, actually, we'll have a TIPWeb-IT just all about site view distributions. We're going to also talk about next steps of preparations, cleaning up your catalog. Ms. Gina is going to be delivering that. It's going to be amazing, everyone. That's on the 27th. And then in August, we're going to kind of do some additional distributions as well as preparations for now beginning of the year. So we really hope you can hop into those. The other item I want to make sure to mention to everybody is we have opened up some additional live sessions to all of our customer base, everybody. Now, for TIPWeb-IT, they are called TIPWeb-IT Basics, and we have a session for Admin View as well as Site View. So any and all of your individuals that are users of the TIPWeb-IT application are able to access these sessions, everyone. They are 2.5 hours long. I know that's a lot of time, but they give you the foundation of the application. So any of my new customers, if you haven't been to a training yet, and or you're looking to get training quickly, we have these on a routine basis, as you can see. For those that need a refresher, hop in and just maybe you're just kind of listening in. But additionally, everyone, we have recordings of both of these sessions that you can use as well as anybody else in your district. So great opportunities to really just start to gain knowledge of the application, best practices, cleaning up for the end of the school year, and then shifting, of course, very quickly, right, to the beginning of the school year. Thank you all so much for attending the session today. I appreciate you taking your time. I know it's busy. If there's additional questions, I'll stay on a couple of minutes, but I hope to see you on more of the live sessions coming up. And so have a great rest of your day, all.